Hello, and welcome. Tonight, we're embarking on a journey far beyond the comforts of the familiar, into a place where silence reigns and the cold is a constant companion. This is no ordinary adventure. As you settle in, close your eyes for a moment. Take a slow, deep breath and feel the warmth of your room surround you. In contrast, imagine the vast, endless stretch of snow and ice that awaits far to the north. We're about to explore the unforgiving beauty of one of Earth's most extreme environments, Spitsbergen, the largest island in the Svalbard archipelago, lying just below the Arctic Circle. This place, so remote and cold, is the kind of world where nature's power is both terrifying and awe-inspiring. But before we dive into this chilling landscape, let me invite you to relax. Let go of the day's tension, for we will be traveling not only through time but also through the sensations of cold, survival, and serenity that come with such isolation. In the quiet solitude of Spitsbergen's snow-covered hills, you will feel the stillness of nature as you never have before. Imagine standing in a place where the horizon seems to stretch on forever. The air is thin and biting, carrying a sharp cold that seeps into your bones. Around you, fields of snow shimmer in a bleak expanse, and the sky, heavy and dark, seems to be forever locked in twilight. In the distance, jagged mountains rise like ancient sentinels, their snowy peaks standing stark against the endless sky. The sun, if it appears at all, hangs low in the sky, casting a pale glow that flickers out before it even has a chance to truly shine. For half the year, the darkness wraps its arms around this place, refusing to let go. Here, in the northernmost reaches of the world, survival is not a matter of luxury or choice, but of necessity. In this story, you won't hear about grand battles or daring quests. Instead, we'll walk through the quiet, reflective life of those who call this frozen place home. The challenges are different here, more elemental, more primal. Survival here is a delicate dance between you and the land, the cold, and the creatures that share this desolate beauty. Every action, from keeping warm to hunting and gathering food, becomes an intricate part of the struggle for life itself. As you picture yourself stepping onto the frozen ground of Spitsbergen, imagine what it would feel like to breathe in the cold, crisp air. Every inhale stings your lungs, yet there is something exhilarating about it, a reminder that you're alive, even in the harshest of conditions. You can feel the crunch of snow beneath your boots, the sound breaking the otherwise profound silence. The world here is not one of noise and haste, but of quiet endurance. So, let's settle into this landscape together. Allow yourself to drift into a state of calm as we walk through the world of Spitsbergen and its unforgiving winters. What would it be like to live here, surrounded by nothing but ice and snow for months on end, where daylight is brief and the dark winter months seem to stretch into infinity? Here, every day, every moment, becomes a fight for survival. But it is also a fight worth embracing, for in these harsh conditions, the human spirit finds strength unlike any other. Spitsbergen is a land of extremes, an island in the Arctic wilderness that has captured the imaginations of explorers and adventurers for centuries. Part of the Svalbard archipelago, it is a place where the weather is as wild as the terrain, and the rhythm of life is dictated by the cycle of the seasons, where the sun disappears for months at a time and doesn't reappear until the ice is already beginning to break. Nestled just 1,000 kilometers from the North Pole, Spitsbergen is the northernmost inhabited place in Europe. The island's landscape is as stark as it is beautiful. The snow-covered mountains, vast glaciers, and polar tundra make it a paradise for the hardy few who choose to endure its relentless winters. Yet, it is also a place where survival demands every ounce of resourcefulness, strength, and resilience. When the first explorers arrived here in the 17th century, they were greeted by a hostile environment where temperatures could plunge to -30 degrees Celsius or colder, where the sun wouldn't rise above the horizon for months, and where every step through the snow felt like a reminder that nature is both unforgiving and majestic. The early settlers and explorers who made their way to this isolated island understood that to survive here meant adapting to the land, respecting its power, and learning to live by its rules. Spitsbergen's extreme environment is not just a backdrop to its history, but an active participant in the lives of those who live here. For the people who settled on this island, survival was never a guarantee. The weather could change without warning, snowstorms could trap them for days, and food could quickly become scarce. And yet, it is in this environment that one of humanity's greatest strengths shines through: the ability to endure. In this frozen, faraway world, the only way to survive the brutal winters is to respect the land. Whether you're a modern scientist studying its glaciers, or a long-ago hunter seeking shelter from the unrelenting winds, the land requires a certain humbleness. The animals here, polar bears, reindeer, and seals, are not merely wildlife, but part of the intricate web of survival. The early inhabitants of Spitsbergen understood this symbiotic relationship. For centuries, they lived with the land, learning its rhythms and mastering the art of survival. As we imagine life here in the winter, it's easy to feel a shiver creep down your spine. The days are short and the nights are endless. For months, the sun doesn't rise. The Arctic darkness is thick, unyielding. But there is beauty here too. In the absence of light, the world feels more intimate, more connected to the soul. When the stars come out, they fill the sky, and the northern lights, those dazzling ribbons of green and purple, dance across the heavens, a celestial display like no other. But the beauty is fleeting. For most of the year, the challenges are overwhelming. The temperature is relentless, and food sources are sparse. Every task, from gathering supplies to hunting or tending to your shelter, requires immense effort and endurance. Life here is shaped by the changing seasons, by the rhythms of the earth and sky. And yet, in the coldest of times, survival becomes more than just a struggle against nature. It becomes a profound connection to the planet itself. Before we venture further into the cold heart of Spitsbergen, I invite you to take a deep breath. Imagine yourself standing there, in the midst of the ice, the wind biting at your skin. The world is quiet. The sun is nowhere to be seen, but you are still here, still breathing. In this extreme environment, your body feels alive in a way it never does in the warmth of the familiar. So, as we prepare to dive deeper into the challenges of surviving one of the harshest winters on Earth, remember, this story is not just about survival. It is about the quiet strength that lies within us, all the ability to adapt, endure, and find peace in the midst of the most difficult circumstances. Let the journey through the frozen world of Spitsbergen begin. Imagine stepping outside into a world where the very air feels like it's made of ice. The sky above is a relentless expanse of gray, stretching endlessly in all directions, and the wind howls, biting at your skin, cutting through every layer of clothing. It's not just the chill that gets to you, but the constant pressure of it. The wind can freeze exposed skin in minutes, leaving your face feeling numb, your breath coming out in clouds of vapor that disappear almost instantly in the frigid air. The snow falls thick and fast, so much so that the landscape becomes almost unrecognizable. Each snowflake adds to the thickening blanket that covers the land, muffling all sounds, leaving nothing but stillness. There's no movement except the occasional animal tracks that are quickly erased by another gust of wind. The world here is a place of quiet, of solitude, where nature's harshness reigns supreme. The silence is broken only by the wind's howling, a constant reminder of the wild power around you. In this world, everything is frozen. Time, space, and life itself seem to be suspended in the unyielding cold. And yet, in this very stillness, life continues, albeit in a different way. You can feel the weight of the climate, pressing down on everything, reminding you that you are a small part of this vast frozen landscape. Via tip. The cold has a way of making everything feel distant, as if you're on the edge of the world. Every movement is deliberate, calculated, as if the very air is conspiring to slow you down. The world around you, once familiar, now seems foreign. Nothing looks the same under the blanket of snow. The ground beneath your feet is soft and treacherous, a thin crust of ice that could give way at any moment, sending you plunging into the deep, bitter snow below. Your senses are heightened. Every gust of wind is a reminder of how fragile your presence is in this harsh world. The landscape offers little comfort. There are no trees to shield you, no shelter from the elements. The mountains in the distance are jagged and foreboding, their peaks obscured by thick clouds, offering only a glimpse of the dangers that lie ahead. The lack of color, the monochrome world, creates a feeling of isolation so intense it can almost suffocate you. The world is stripped of distractions, leaving only the raw, unrelenting power of nature. But in this harsh stillness, there is also a strange beauty. The snowflakes that swirl around you, while relentless and cold, have a delicate purity to them. The way they catch the light, twinkling like tiny diamonds, is almost mesmerizing. The air, though it freezes your breath, feels alive with the promise of a world untouched by time. Here, in this frozen expanse, you are reminded that life does not exist in a vacuum. It is shaped by forces beyond your control, by the land, the weather, the seasons. Survival here requires more than just physical endurance. It demands that you become one with the environment, that you learn to respect the cold, the silence, and the solitude. The wind howls, but it is a song that has been sung by the earth for eons, and you, a mere passerby, are nothing but a note in the vast symphony of time. Each breath you take is a defiance of the cold, each step a commitment to continue forward, no matter how brutal the journey becomes. The world is frozen, yet somehow life persists. It is a quiet, steady, persistent survival, not in spite of the cold, but because of it. The cold teaches you how to live with less, how to make do with what you have. It teaches you patience, resilience, and adaptability. In the silence, you learn to listen to the subtle creaks of ice, the crunch of snow underfoot, the faintest sounds of animals moving in the distance. Every moment here is a battle, a test of endurance, a fight against the cold that seems to want to swallow you whole. But in this struggle, there is also a quiet triumph. For as long as you survive, you are living proof that life, in all its fragile beauty, will always find a way to endure even in the harshest of conditions. How do you survive in such an unforgiving world? When the temperatures dip as low as -30 degrees Celsius to -40 degrees Celsius, the challenge is no longer about convenience but sheer survival. The cold becomes your constant companion, relentless in its pursuit of warmth. No part of your body is spared, and every step outside is an act of courage. You know that if you stay out too long, frostbite will claim your toes, your fingers, maybe even your nose. Surviving the cold requires preparation and planning. Every movement must be calculated. You can't afford to waste energy, and you can't afford to make mistakes. Your clothing must be meticulously layered, designed to trap warmth and keep the cold at bay. Your shelter must be sturdy, and your fire must burn bright. For without it, there is only darkness and freezing temperatures. In a place like this, even the simplest task becomes an uphill battle. The biting cold seeps into your bones, and the extreme temperatures make even the most basic activities feel monumental. Cooking, washing, or even stepping outside to check the traps can feel like an insurmountable challenge. Yet, day after day, you find yourself forced to endure. The hardships are endless, and yet there's a sense of pride in facing them head-on. Every day you survive, every breath you take, is a victory over the cold that wants to take everything from you. The cold is not merely a physical adversary, it is a force of nature that tests your spirit, pushes you to your limits, and challenges your very will to live. As you step outside, the icy air feels like it's trying to suffocate you, forcing you to take shallow breaths, each one a struggle. The wind is merciless, tearing at your exposed skin, and the snow, so fine and powdery, whips around you, stinging your face with each gust. You have to move quickly, or the frost will claim you, and the once simple task of gathering firewood or checking your snares becomes an arduous journey fraught with danger. Every decision is a delicate balance between life and death. The fire must be tended constantly, for without it, there is nothing. A single spark, a small ember, can be the difference between warmth and freezing, between life and the slow, inevitable march toward hypothermia. You must learn to read the weather, to sense when the wind shifts or when the clouds promise snow. Timing is everything here. If you leave too early, the cold might catch you. If you leave too late, the daylight will slip away, leaving you in total darkness. At times, the isolation is almost unbearable. The endless whiteness of the landscape feels like an unbroken sea of snow, with no landmarks to guide you, no signs of life to reassure you that the world exists beyond the frozen expanse. You live in a constant state of awareness, always alert, always thinking ahead. The sound of your footsteps crunching in the snow is the only sound that accompanies you, and it serves as a reminder that you're alive just for a moment. The solitude is deafening, and yet in that silence, you begin to hear the small things, the faint rustle of an animal in the snow, the distant cracking of ice as the temperature drops further. You become attuned to these small signs, as if your survival depends on them. And it does. The animals here are not mere creatures of the wild, they are your partners in this survival struggle. Every rabbit caught in your trap, every fish pulled from the icy waters, is a step closer to getting through the long, cold nights. But even in this harsh world, there is a quiet rhythm to life. The cold forces you to slow down, to be deliberate in every action, and in doing so, you begin to find moments of unexpected beauty. The first light of morning breaking over the snow, the delicate frost patterns that form on your shelter's walls, the stillness of the world as night falls. These moments, though fleeting, remind you that life here is more than just survival. It's about finding meaning in the struggle, peace in the quiet, and purpose in every step you take. Surviving here is not about heroism or grand feats. It's about the small victories, the moments where you manage to keep your fire burning through the night, where you make it through another day without succumbing to the cold. It's the pride in knowing that, despite everything, you're still here. You are not simply surviving, you are living, enduring, and becoming a part of this world of ice and snow, and in that, there is an unspoken triumph. In this world, everything is frozen. Time, space, and life itself seem to be suspended in the unyielding cold. And yet, in this very stillness, life continues, albeit in a different way. You can feel the weight of the climate pressing down on everything, reminding you that you are a small part of this vast, frozen landscape. Viet. Tip. The cold has a way of making everything feel distant, as if you're on the edge of the world. There is no luxury here, no soft sheets, no warm baths, no distractions. There is only the essential, and perhaps that is why you come to find solace in the simplest things. The walls of your hut, made from thick timber and insulated with layers of animal pelts, creak under the weight of the snow. The roof, heavy with ice and frost, groans occasionally as the wind howls above, but it holds firm. The cold is always there, pressing against the walls, trying to find a way in. It doesn't matter how strong or thick the shelter, nothing will ever fully protect you from the harsh embrace of the cold. The only defense is your ability to adapt, to keep fighting, to keep the warmth inside, to never let the cold win. The fire is your lifeline, but it is as fleeting as it is essential. Every time you feed the flames, you feel a brief moment of relief, a flicker of comfort that pulses through your bones. But the fire does not last. As quickly as it rises, it dies down, and with it, the warmth dissipates. It's a cruel cycle. You can never allow the fire to go out completely, for without it, the temperature inside the hut drops just as quickly as outside, and the night becomes unbearable. You spend your evenings adding wood, constantly tending to it, making sure it doesn't burn out before the morning light. You're always aware of the hunger gnawing at your stomach. Each breath, each step, each day you survive, you become a little more attuned to the rhythm of this frozen landscape, a little more in tune with the cold, relentless beauty of the world around you. Each day, as the hours pass slowly and the shadows grow long, you learn to appreciate the smallest of comforts, a warm drink by the fire, the quiet crackle of the flames, the sense of safety within the small, sturdy walls of your hut. The thought of an empty stomach is one of the greatest fears, and the knowledge that food might not come for days or weeks keeps you vigilant. The nights are the hardest. The cold creeps in. No matter how tightly you wrap yourself in your furs, the darkness outside is absolute, and the cold can feel suffocating. You huddle close to the fire, trying to preserve every bit of heat. The silence presses in, broken only by the occasional howl of the wind. The food you have is scarce and precious, and every meal is a carefully considered event. It's not about taste or variety. It's simply about survival. The dried fish, the preserved meats, and the stale bread are all you have. You can't afford to waste any of it, not a crumb. You stretch each meal, making it last longer, hoping that somehow you'll find more supplies, or that the weather will allow you to hunt or fish once more. You've made it through another day, and that, in this world, is victory. Tomorrow will come with its own challenges, but for tonight, in the quiet, flickering warmth of the fire, you allow yourself a brief moment of peace. It's fleeting, but it is enough. In this frozen wilderness, everything revolves around survival. Every decision you make, every action you take, is tied to the necessity of staying alive. The cold doesn't care about your plans or your comfort. It only cares about whether you can adapt, whether you can endure. Survival means making hard choices. It means conserving fuel, even if that means cutting back on light or heat at times. It means hunting when the weather permits, foraging when the snow clears just enough to see the ground, and setting traps for whatever animals might be brave enough to venture out. It means taking every opportunity to preserve what little food you have, drying meat, storing fish, and carefully sealing them in makeshift coolers to prevent them from freezing solid. But survival also means something more. It's not just about fighting the elements, it's about maintaining your sanity. In the midst of the cold, you must keep your mind sharp, for in the winter's darkness, it is easy to lose yourself. You rely on the small, quiet moments, those rare moments of warmth by the fire, the fleeting sense of relief after a long, hard day. These are the things that keep you going, the things that remind you that, despite it all, life is still worth living. Survival here is not just about staying alive. It's about finding the strength to face another day. It's about finding peace in the struggle and learning to live with the cold, not as an enemy, but as an inevitable part of this world. In this place, you come to understand that survival is both a burden and a gift, and it is the only thing that truly matters. Survival in this frozen wilderness is a constant balancing act, a careful negotiation between the cold, your resources, and your own mind. The physical challenges are ever present, but it's the mental ones that can break you down the fastest. It's easy to fall into despair when the days stretch endlessly and the sun refuses to rise, leaving you in darkness for months. There's no escaping the isolation, the silence, the feeling that you are alone in a world that has no mercy. But even in the darkest moments, there's a quiet, steady strength that begins to grow within you. It's not always loud or obvious. It's a resilience that comes from surviving another night, from waking up to face another day. It's the knowledge that no matter how difficult the circumstances, you have the capacity to endure. The cold will always be there, as constant as the snow that blankets the earth. But as time goes on, you begin to realize that it's not the cold that will defeat you. It's the loss of your will to fight against it. As long as you keep moving, keep working, keep your mind occupied with the tasks that need to be done, you can endure. Every small victory, the lighting of the fire, the successful catch in the trap, the heat that slowly returns to your chilled bones, is a reminder that you are still here, still alive, still capable of facing what comes next. There are moments when the weight of it all feels unbearable. You'll sit alone by the fire, your back aching from the long hours of work, your hands raw from the constant labor. The wind will howl outside, and the darkness will feel like a suffocating blanket. But in those moments, you cling to the small comforts that remain. A simple meal, the crackle of the fire, the warmth of your shelter. These become treasures in a world where so much is out of your control. As the days pass, you begin to notice the subtle changes, the softening of the light as the days grow longer, the first signs of life returning to the land. You begin to feel the slow, steady shift in the world around you, and with it, a sense of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, the worst is behind you. But you know that survival here is never guaranteed. The winter may last longer than expected. The food may run out before the thaw, or the traps may not yield enough. Yet, in the heart of this harsh world, there is a fierce kind of peace, a knowing that even when things seem impossible, you have the strength to persevere. Survival is not a solo endeavor. It's about finding ways to connect with the land, with the animals, with the few who share this frozen world. In the quiet moments, when the wind is howling outside and the snow blankets everything, you understand that survival is not just about fighting to live, it's about making peace with the cold, finding a rhythm in the struggle, and accepting that there is beauty in resilience. In this place, every day you survive is a testament to your strength, and in every hardship, there's an opportunity to learn something about yourself. The cold may threaten to break you, but it is also what makes you stronger. In this frozen wilderness, you find a truth. Survival is not simply a fight to endure. It is the journey of learning to live with the world as it is cold, harsh, and beautiful, and finding your place within it. Imagine waking up to the bitter reality that your food supplies are running low. The shelves that once held enough to sustain you through the harsh winter now appear eerily bare. The cold has already made it impossible to venture far, and the heavy snowstorms show no sign of letting up. Each storm makes the outside world more dangerous, the wind howling like a wild animal, the snow thickening into an impenetrable blanket. You know you can't afford to risk getting caught out there, but without food, every hour inside feels longer, heavier. The hunger gnaws at your stomach, constant and insistent. You can feel your body growing weaker with every passing day. You ration what little you have left, maybe a small piece of dried fish, some stale bread, or the last few scraps of preserved meat. Nothing is ever enough to stave off the constant feeling of emptiness inside you. The thought of going without food for days is a terrifying one, yet it's a reality you have to face. You can't go out to hunt, and the traps you've set have yielded little, their bounty frozen and scarce. There are no markets to run to, no stores to replenish your supplies. There is only the snow, the endless cold, and your dwindling stockpile. Every scrap becomes precious. Every meal is an opportunity to delay the inevitable. You wonder how long you can keep going like this. But then you push the thought aside. You have no choice but to keep going, to conserve energy, to hold on to every ounce of food you can until the storms subside, and you can once again venture out into the frozen wilderness to hunt for what you need to survive. Each passing day feels like an eternity, and as the snowstorms rage outside, the isolation begins to feel suffocating. The walls of your shelter, sturdy as they are, cannot protect you from the creeping sense of dread that tightens around your chest. The days blend together, one indistinguishable from the next, as you count the hours, the minutes, hoping that anything will change. But the cold remains relentless, and the hunger gnaws at you, louder now, more demanding than ever before. The fire crackles weakly in the corner of your hut, its warmth just enough to stave off the worst of the cold, but not enough to chase away the biting chill that has settled into your bones. You sit close to the fire, but the heat doesn't seem to reach deep enough to ease the cold that lingers within. The thick layers of clothing and furs you wear are no longer a comfort. They're a reminder of the fragility of your existence here, the thin line between warmth and freezing, between life and the edge of survival. You try to stay busy, to distract your mind from the hunger that continues to rise, but the tasks are monotonous. You check the traps again, hoping for a miracle. You search the small, meager supply of wood to feed the fire, but it's running low. The snow outside is piled high, drifting against your door, cutting you off from the rest of the world. It feels like there is no way out, no way forward. You close your eyes for a moment, but even in the dark, the hunger is there, clawing at your stomach, relentless. Your mind wanders to thoughts of the outside world, of green fields, of flowing rivers, of food abundant and easily found. But then you shake the thoughts away. You can't afford the luxury of longing for a world that's so far removed from your reality. There's no time for it. The hunger demands your attention now, and it doesn't care about your dreams or your memories. It's a physical thing, a deep emptiness that consumes your thoughts, your energy, and your will. You ration your food carefully, measuring each morsel with precision, trying not to waste a single bite. The dried fish tastes bland, the stale bread too hard to chew, but it's all you have. You mix the little scraps of meat with the few roots you've managed to store and make it last just a little longer. You drink water sparingly, knowing that dehydration can be just as dangerous as hunger in this freezing climate. Every sip counts, every bite counts, and yet it never feels like enough. The thought of venturing out into the storm again, of braving the deep snow, is terrifying. But you know that it is the only choice you have left. You can't wait any longer. The storm must pass, and you must find a way to get food, or you'll be forced to face an even more terrifying prospect, the slow, inevitable decline into starvation. The cold may kill you, but hunger, too, is a slow death. A cruel reminder that survival is a delicate balance between life and the forces that threaten it. So, you brace yourself, gather every ounce of strength you have left, and wait for the storm to subside, knowing that when it does, you will step back into the frozen world, into the cold, and fight to survive just one more day. It is all you can do, all you can control. And as the storm howls outside and your shelter creaks under the weight of the snow, you hold onto that thought. Tomorrow you will survive, even if it's only for one more day. With no sunlight to speak of, the cold presses in relentlessly from all sides. The temperatures plunge to terrifying lows, and no matter how many layers you add, it always feels like there is a draft creeping in, a constant reminder that warmth is a fragile, fleeting thing. Your clothing, though carefully chosen and layered to trap heat, is never enough. The thick furs, the woolen blankets, the mittens and boots, they do their best. But against the unrelenting chill, they can only offer a temporary reprieve. Inside your hut, warmth becomes a constant struggle. The fire in the corner crackles, but its light and heat only reach so far. You huddle close, wrapping yourself in layers of blankets and fur-lined coats. But even in your small shelter, the cold seeps in. Your fingers go numb as you tend to the fire, and your breath condenses in the air, visible and sharp, a constant reminder of the ice-cold world just outside your door. Staying warm is more than just comfort, it's survival. If you don't keep your body temperature regulated, the cold can take hold, creeping into your joints, stiffening your muscles, and making even the smallest movement a painful chore. The threat of hypothermia is always there, lurking in the back of your mind. Every time you step outside, the cold rushes in to meet you, and you know that even the briefest exposure could be enough to freeze your fingers, your toes, or worse. Keeping warm, then, becomes an obsession. You must always be prepared, always ready to add another log to the fire, always thinking ahead to the next layer of clothing, the next method of protection. Every moment is a careful calculation, a constant battle against the cold that feels like it's trying to infiltrate every crack, every gap. The smallest lapse in attention could lead to catastrophe. You find yourself constantly moving, even when you're exhausted, trying to stay active to keep the warmth circulating through your body. Even as you sit, wrapped in layers of thick furs and woolen blankets, you can't relax. The cold gnaws at you, reminding you that every inch of exposed skin is vulnerable. The fire, your one source of comfort, flickers weakly, casting long shadows that stretch across the hut. It feels fragile, too. You're aware that it could go out at any moment if you don't keep feeding it, and with it, your hope of warmth fades away. The logs you've chopped are running low, and the snowstorm outside makes it nearly impossible to gather more. You keep the fire small, just enough to keep the ice from creeping back into your bones, but the smallest draft from the cracks in the door or the walls seems to steal the warmth away. You know that you must not let the fire die. When the flames falter, you're reminded of how fragile your existence really is here. There's a constant fear that if the fire goes out, if the warmth vanishes, you will be swallowed by the cold, left to freeze in your own shelter. You make every effort to keep it going, adding logs, tending to the embers, watching as the fire dances and flickers before your eyes, reassuring you that, for now, you are safe. The darkness outside seems to be endless, and with it, the cold keeps seeping through, curling around you, pressing against your skin. The firelight, though a welcome relief, only seems to highlight how little it can do against the vast, icy expanse beyond your walls. It's easy to feel trapped in this cycle. Fire, warmth, fuel, fearing that at any moment you could run out of one, and then the others would follow. The cold doesn't care about your fear. It just waits. The moment you step outside to gather firewood, the cold becomes an immediate, overwhelming force. The wind cuts across your face, freezing any exposed skin within seconds. Your breath turns to ice the moment it leaves your mouth, and you're reminded of the urgency in every action. You keep your movements quick and precise, knowing that lingering too long in the open could bring you closer to danger. Even the simplest task, chopping wood or gathering a few small branches, becomes a high-stakes game, one that tests your resolve and willpower. Every second matters. Back inside, you press your back against the wall, feeling the coolness that permeates through even the thickest layers. The heat from the fire seems so small compared to the vast cold outside, yet it is the only thing that keeps you from becoming part of that frozen world. The cold has a way of isolating you. It is a constant presence, even in the shelter of your home. It forces you to adapt, to always be aware of its creeping presence, and to plan each action with the understanding that warmth is not something to be taken for granted. You know that survival depends on the ability to endure the cold, the hunger, the isolation. As much as you rely on the fire, it is also your own resilience that must hold you together. Each day becomes a testament to your ability to fight the relentless forces of nature, to stand strong against the cold, and to keep your spirit alive, even when everything around you tells you to give in. And so, with every log you add to the fire, with every layer of clothing you don, and with every careful step you take outside into the biting wind, you remind yourself that survival is a choice. It's a choice to face the cold, to endure the struggle, and to fight for the warmth that keeps you alive. And even in the darkest, coldest moments, you know that as long as you keep fighting, you will not be defeated. There are days when you cannot avoid the cold, when you run out of food, when the traps are empty, and the fire is burning low. You must venture outside. No matter how perilous it may be, you can feel the cold press against your skin as soon as you open the door. The wind cuts like shards of glass, stinging your face, turning your eyes to ice. Your breath comes in sharp bursts, crystallizing in the air before you can even exhale fully. You step out cautiously, the crunch of snow beneath your boots, the only sound that breaks the silence. You know that each step could be your last. The frozen landscape around you stretches endlessly, the snow covering everything in sight. There are no trails, no markers to guide you, just the vast, empty expanse of white, broken only by the occasional shape of a distant rock or a frozen tree. Hunting in these conditions is no simple feat. You must move quickly but cautiously, for the cold will sap your strength if you don't. The animals here are elusive, well adapted to the harsh environment. You must be patient, setting traps, waiting for the right moment to strike. Even the slightest mistake can mean going hungry for days, or worse. Every moment outside in this brutal cold takes a toll on your body. Your fingers stiffen, your nose becomes numb, and your vision blurs as the frost gathers on your eyelashes. The cold fights back with every breath you take, but you fight it, too. With each step, you remind yourself that survival means enduring, even in the face of overwhelming odds. The landscape before you is unforgiving, an endless stretch of white that seems to go on forever. Every step feels like you're walking deeper into a void. The ground beneath you uneven, the snow hiding treacherous rocks and ice. The wind howls, louder now, as if mocking your every move, and you have to squint, the sting of the cold cutting into your eyes, making it hard to see clearly. Each breath burns as it enters your lungs, the air so sharp that it feels as though your very insides are freezing. You push forward, your body growing weaker with each step. The snowdrifts pull at your legs, making each movement a little more labored, but you cannot afford to stop. You have no choice but to keep moving, to search for food, to search for something that can keep you alive for one more day. The cold presses in from all sides, relentless, suffocating. You feel the weight of it pressing against your chest, squeezing your lungs, making it harder to breathe. Every inch you move is a battle. The trees, half buried in snow, loom like twisted sentinels in the distance, their branches stark and bare. You look for signs of life tracks in the snow, movement in the distance, any indication that there's something out here besides yourself and the cold. But the world is eerily still, as though the harsh climate has driven everything into hiding. Even the animals, those you rely on for sustenance, have adapted to avoid the brutal winds, the suffocating snow, and the ever-encroaching chill. You know the dangers of staying out too long. The frost will claim you if you're not careful. Fingers, toes, even your face can freeze in minutes, and once the frostbite sets in, there's no turning back. You've seen the signs before, people in the settlements who came in from the cold, their skin a mottled black, their hands and feet stiff and unyielding. It's a fate you must avoid at all costs. But still, you press on, because there is no choice. You have to make it back. You need to find food. You need to bring something back to your shelter. The gnawing hunger in your stomach is unbearable, a constant reminder of what's at stake. Each trap you check is empty, and with every empty trap, the cold wraps around you tighter, like a hand slowly closing in. It is an agonizing process, each second stretching into an eternity. Finally, you spot something. In the distance, near the edge of a snowbank, a faint trail of animal tracks leads to a small thicket. Your heart races, and despite the freezing air, warmth floods your chest. You hurry towards it, every muscle screaming in protest, every breath a painful effort. You crouch low, moving silently, knowing that the animals here are sharp, quick to flee at the slightest disturbance. The world feels suspended in this moment, silent, tense, and fragile. You set the trap, your hands stiff from the cold, your breath visible in the air. You wait. Every second feels like an eternity as you listen for any sign, any noise that would suggest the trap has been triggered. The cold gnaws at your patience, but you don't dare move. After what seems like an age, there's a slight rustle, a subtle shift in the snow. Your heart leaps. Something has stepped into the trap. You don't hesitate. You spring into action, moving faster than you thought possible in the cold. With trembling hands, you secure the catch, a small rabbit, nothing to boast about, but enough to get you through another night. You rise, exhausted but victorious, the brief moment of warmth from the fire now more precious than ever. As you begin your journey back to the shelter, you feel the weight of the cold again. But this time, there's a renewed sense of purpose. Each step is a reminder that, despite everything, survival is still possible. The battle with the cold is far from over, but with the catch in your hands, you have gained one more victory over the harsh world around you. Survival in this world is a constant cycle. Every day you wake up and do it all over again, hunting, gathering, warming yourself by the fire, rationing your food. It is a life of repetition, but repetition is what keeps you alive. It's the rhythm of survival, the steady, relentless push to make it through each day, knowing that the end of one is just the beginning of another. You learn to embrace the monotony, to find purpose in the smallest tasks. Every action becomes a reminder that you are still here, still fighting the cold, still enduring the winter. But even in the harshest moments, there are brief flashes of hope. The fire that burns steadily in your hut, the first animal caught in the trap, the warmth of a meal shared after a long day in the cold. These moments may be small, but they are victories. They are the things that keep you going, the things that remind you that despite the cold, despite the hunger, despite the endless struggle, survival is possible. And so, you continue. You adapt, you endure, and you find ways to make the impossible possible. Because in this frozen wilderness, survival is not just a matter of strength, it's a matter of will. And as long as you have the will to keep going, the cold will never truly win. Each day becomes a small triumph, a test of your resilience. The cold, the hunger, the isolation, they all blur together into a single, constant force that you must face head on. Yet, you learn to adjust. You learn to live within this rhythm, to find the delicate balance between endurance and exhaustion, between hope and despair. The monotony of your existence, though grueling, begins to forge a quiet strength within you. The small routines, checking the traps, tending to the fire, preparing a meager meal, are no longer burdens, but rituals that bind you to life. With each task, you reaffirm your determination. Each step you take to gather firewood, every piece of food you scrounge, every second you spend by the fire helps you push the cold and hunger further away just a little longer. These rituals of survival are the anchors in your life, keeping you grounded when everything else seems so far beyond your control. The days blur together, but each one is marked by subtle victories. The fire that crackles softly in the evening, the warmth that you pull from it, feels like a gift, a momentary escape from the world outside, where the wind howls and the snow buries everything in its path. There are moments of quiet contentment, like when you manage to eat a full meal, or when the warmth of the fire wraps around you and momentarily makes the cold bearable. These are the fleeting moments that keep you going, even when everything else seems bleak. And yet, despite the struggle, there's a strange peace that starts to settle within you. You begin to accept the cold, to make peace with it. It is no longer an enemy to fight against, but a companion, a force that is as much a part of this world as you are. In some ways, it becomes a part of you, its constant presence, a reminder that you are alive, that you are enduring. The struggle to survive in the cold becomes less of a battle and more of a quiet agreement between you and the land around you. The harshness of nature is still there, but you've learned to live with it, to find a way to adapt, to endure, and even to thrive in your own way. The moments of peace, though brief, are a reminder that survival is not just about living through the cold. It's about living through the winter of the soul, too, the loneliness, the isolation, the constant tension of being on the edge of survival. But when you sit by the fire, your body warm, your stomach full, and the storm rages outside, you realize that you have made it through another day, and that in itself is victory. Tomorrow, you'll wake up and you'll do it all over again. The cycle continues, hunting, gathering, tending the fire, rationing your food. But with each repetition, you grow stronger, more determined. The cold will always be there, but so will you. And as long as you have the will to survive, the cold can never truly defeat you. You've learned quickly that survival in this frozen world isn't just about fighting the elements. It's about facing the harshness of nature and finding the strength to keep going, even when it feels like everything is working against you. The survivors of this land, the ones who endure the brutal winters, are more than just resilient. They are adaptable in ways you never thought possible. They are people who know that every day is a battle, but they fight it with patience, with persistence, and with an unshakable will to endure. They've learned that survival isn't just about conquering the land. It's about conquering their own limitations, about pushing through fatigue, hunger, and doubt. They understand that the real struggle often lies within. It's about managing fear, controlling panic, and finding strength in the face of adversity. There are no guarantees here, but the survivors have learned to keep going, to adapt, to grow stronger with each challenge they face. It's their ability to embrace the cold, the hunger, and the isolation not as enemies, but as part of the landscape that sets them apart. It is this mental toughness, this quiet determination, that allows them to endure what most would consider impossible. The survivors of this frozen world have mastered a quiet, unspoken art, the art of acceptance. They understand that nature will not bend to their will, that the seasons will not wait for them to be ready. In a place where everything is cold, harsh, and unpredictable, the only constant is change, and they have learned to adapt to it. They do not fight against the winter. They work with it, finding rhythm in its cruel, unrelenting cycle. They understand that to survive, they must embrace uncertainty. Tomorrow could bring more storms, more hunger, or more loneliness. But the survivors have learned not to fear these things. They know that there will be bad days, but they also know that survival is a long game. The days blur together, each one an exhausting repetition of hunting, rationing, and keeping the fire alive. But each day also brings a small victory, the catch in the trap, the warmth from the fire, the satisfaction of managing to endure one more night. Their adaptability comes from years of experience, from learning the land, the animals, and the rhythms of the seasons. They know where to find shelter from the wind, how to spot the tracks of an animal, and how to make use of every resource the land offers. Every skill, every tool, every method they use is a result of trial and error, and they've learned that nothing is wasted. Even mistakes are valuable lessons. There are no shortcuts to survival here, no easy way out. The survivors know that each day is a battle, but it's one they've prepared for. They are always learning, always adjusting, finding new ways to make their lives just a little bit easier, just a little bit safer, just a little bit warmer. But the real strength of these survivors isn't in their ability to outwit nature. It's in their refusal to give up, no matter how impossible the odds seem. They know that in the end, survival is a test of will. They don't fight to conquer the land or the cold, they fight to keep going. Every day, they wake up and choose to endure. It's this quiet resilience that makes them more than just survivors. It makes them masters of their own fate in a world that offers no guarantees. There are no luxuries here, no comforts to cling to. The survivors are never promised an easy day or an easy meal. Their lives are marked by sacrifice, but in every sacrifice, there is purpose. They live with a deep understanding that the only way to win the battle against the cold, the hunger, and the isolation is to accept them as part of their reality, to make peace with them, and to keep moving forward. In the darkest moments, when the hunger gnaws at them and the wind howls outside, they find strength in each other, in the quiet camaraderie that springs up between those who share this harsh existence. They know that survival isn't just about holding on to their own life, but about holding on to each other's lives as well. The community, the shared experiences, The unspoken bond between those who endure it's what gives them the strength to keep going. Together, they have learned to fight not just the cold, but the fear that comes with it, knowing that there is always someone to lean on when the weight of the world becomes too much to bear. And so, each day becomes an act of perseverance, an unwavering commitment to living even when the odds seem stacked against them. The survivors have come to understand that survival isn't a one-time victory, but a continuous fight that requires not just physical strength, but mental fortitude, emotional resilience, and an unbreakable will to endure, no matter the cost. And as long as they hold on to that will, they will continue to survive, finding meaning in the struggle, strength in the isolation, and hope in the face of the coldest, most unyielding winters. To survive in the bitter cold, you quickly realize that the key is strategy. The environment may be unyielding, but with the right preparation and the right approach, you can make it through. The survivors here have honed a set of skills that allow them to endure. Food is never guaranteed, so they rely on careful planning and resourcefulness. They store what little food they can gather, drying fish, preserving meat, and stockpiling anything that might last through the harsh months. Hunting becomes an art form. In these conditions, it's not about chasing after every animal you see. It's about knowing when and where to strike. You set traps, careful and deliberate, understanding the patterns of the animals in the area. You wait, often for days, for the right moment to spring the trap. You move slowly, quietly, and with purpose. For every misstep could mean going hungry for even longer. You've learned to value patience as much as action, knowing that the success of your hunt depends not just on your skill, but on your timing and your ability to observe and adapt to the ever-changing conditions. Shelters, too, are vital. You don't just build any hut, you build one that will withstand the weight of the snow, the force of the wind, and the harshest cold. Every corner of your shelter must be fortified. You learn to seal gaps with snow, to build thick walls of ice and timber, to keep the warmth in and the cold out. It's not just about comfort, it's about survival. Every tool you craft, every structure you build, every decision you make is done with the knowledge that the cold will test it, and you must be ready. In this unforgiving world, nothing is ever built on a whim. Every decision, every structure, every layer of insulation is carefully thought out, because in the face of the elements, even the smallest oversight can lead to disaster. The survivors know this better than anyone. The smallest crack in a wall, an unnoticed gap in the roof, could allow the freezing air to creep in, slowly turning your shelter into an icebox, threatening your warmth, your food, and ultimately, your life. You reinforce everything, every corner, every joint, and every seam. You pack snow into the walls, create layers of insulation with animal hides, and use every scrap of timber you can find to fortify your refuge. The shelter becomes your sanctuary, your fortress against the brutal world outside. But even the strongest shelter will falter if you don't keep it maintained. The snow, while providing insulation, can also be a threat. If left to accumulate too much, it can weaken the structure or even collapse it altogether. You have to stay vigilant, constantly repairing, reinforcing, and shoring up the shelter as you go, ensuring it will last through the long, brutal months of winter. It's a never-ending job, one that you must return to again and again. but it's one of the most vital aspects of your survival. In this world, your shelter is as important as the food you gather and the fire you maintain. It's not just a place to sleep, it's the thin line between survival and death. Similarly, your tools are just as important. You learn to craft and maintain the tools you need to hunt, gather, and build. A well-made axe for chopping wood, a sharp knife for skinning and preparing meat, a sturdy sled to haul supplies. All these tools become extensions of yourself. Without them, you are helpless. You spend hours sharpening, cleaning, and repairing them, ensuring they are always ready when you need them. Every piece of equipment is treated with respect, for in the wild, tools are life. A dull knife, a broken sled, or a poorly made trap could mean a day wasted, or worse, a day lost to hunger. Even your clothing is part of your strategy. Layer upon layer of fur, wool, and leather becomes your second skin. You learn to dress in a way that traps heat, regulates moisture, and shields you from the wind. A thick, fur-lined hood protects your face from the biting chill, and layered mittens and boots keep your extremities from freezing. You quickly understand the importance of maintaining your clothing, drying it when it gets wet, patching up tears, and reinforcing worn areas. The cold has a way of creeping into every part of your life, but your clothing can be your first defense against it. It's not about fashion or comfort, it's about survival. And then, there's the constant struggle to keep the fire going. Every day, it feels like a race against the cold. You gather wood when you can, make sure there's enough fuel for the night, and carefully bank the embers when you go to sleep. The fire is your lifeline. It keeps you warm, it cooks your food, it boils your water, and it provides light in the overwhelming darkness. You learn to be frugal with it, not wasting a single log, not letting the flame burn too brightly and consume all your fuel in a single night. But when the wind howls and the storm rages outside, you know that the fire will keep you safe at least for tonight. It's this constant cycle of survival that becomes your life. You don't think about anything beyond today, because today is the only thing you can control. The future feels so uncertain, so distant, that it's hard to even imagine a time when the cold won't be the only thing that matters. Every day is a careful balancing act between food and fuel, warmth and work, survival and surrender. But each day you survive, each small victory you claim, becomes a reminder that you are stronger than the cold, stronger than the hunger, stronger than the land itself. And in the silence of the frozen wilderness, when the storm outside roars and the fire flickers low, you find that it is not just survival you seek, it is the will to endure, the will to keep fighting no matter what. The cold will always be there, but so will you. And as long as you keep going, no matter how difficult, no matter how grim, you know that survival is possible. The harsh, frozen world cannot take away your will. It can only challenge it. And with each challenge you meet, you grow stronger, more resilient, more attuned to the rhythms of this frozen land. And you learn, in ways you never expected, that survival isn't just about the land, it's about what's within you. In a world where survival is a solitary battle, you come to realize that community is more vital than ever. The cold, the hunger, and the isolation can break you down, but the strength of shared human connection can lift you up. Despite the scarcity of resources, the survivors here share what they have: understanding that there is strength in numbers. Food may be limited, but a shared meal means more than just nourishment. It's a reaffirmation of life, a reminder that, even in the coldest winters, humanity's warmth can endure. You rely on each other for the tasks that are too difficult to face alone. You share stories to keep the darkness at bay, to remind yourself that there is more to life than the struggle for survival. In a world where everything feels transient, where death is always lurking just beyond the firelight, the bonds you form become your lifeline. These bonds keep you grounded, keep you hopeful, and give you a reason to keep going even when the weight of the world feels unbearable. The sense of solidarity is palpable. You help one another, whether it's by gathering firewood, tending to the sick, or watching each other's traps. There's a quiet understanding between you. Survival isn't just about each person making it through. It's about everyone working together to ensure that the group survives as a whole. The stories you share around the fire, the songs you sing, the laughter you find in the smallest of joys, these moments of human connection become more precious than any physical possession. As you sit together by the fire, the warmth from the flames not only keeps the cold at bay, but it also fuels the bond that grows between you. It's a bond forged through shared hardship, through the understanding that without each other, survival would be much more difficult, if not impossible. The isolation you once feared becomes bearable when you realize that you are not alone in this struggle. In those moments of quiet, when the storm rages outside, the laughter and stories shared around the fire serve as a reminder of why you fight to survive, not just for yourself, but for each other. The stories you tell, whether they are of past winters, of loved ones far away, or of life before the cold took over, are more than just distractions. They are lifelines. Each word, each tale is a thread that weaves a sense of connection, of belonging. You find comfort in knowing that, despite the harshness of the present, you are not the only one living through it. Others have faced the same darkness, the same struggles, and they have endured. Together, you share the burden, even if it's just for a few hours. And in that sharing, you find strength you didn't know you had. The small tasks of everyday life, gathering firewood, mending clothes, checking traps, become acts of solidarity. No one person is expected to carry the weight alone. There is an unspoken understanding that the survival of one depends on the survival of all. It's a quiet, constant reminder that even in the most dire of circumstances, humanity's greatest strength lies in unity. You work together, each task becoming a shared responsibility, each success a collective victory. When someone falls ill, the community rallies, providing food, tending to them, offering whatever comfort they can. It's not just about physical survival, it's about emotional and psychological survival too. The bonds you form here are what keep you grounded, what keep you from sinking into despair. There are no luxuries in this world. There are no distractions to pull you away from the fight for survival. But in the midst of this struggle, you discover that these connections, these simple moments of human contact, are what make life worth living. A shared meal, a hand offered in help, a song sung in the dark, these things carry weight far beyond their physical value. They give you a reason to keep going. When the world feels too cold and too bleak, the cold may freeze your body, but the warmth of human connection keeps your spirit alive. As the seasons pass, you come to understand that survival is not just about staying alive. It's about living together, supporting one another, and finding meaning even in the most desperate of circumstances. The cold may dominate the landscape, but the warmth of the human heart is what will carry you through. And in the end, it's not the quantity of food or the size of the shelter that matters, it's the strength of the relationships you've built, the shared resilience that helps everyone push through the darkness and the cold. When you have each other, survival becomes more than just a fight against the elements. It becomes a fight for life itself. Even in the darkest moments, the survivors know how to keep their spirits high. They've learned that survival isn't just about the physical struggle, it's about the mental fortitude to keep fighting, to keep moving forward, even when it feels like the world is against you. The harsh winters and the constant threat of starvation can wear you down, but the survivors find ways to keep their minds sharp and their hope alive. They keep their spirits up through simple acts, telling stories of better times, recalling memories of family and friends, sharing dreams of a life beyond the snow. They find moments of humor in the bleakest of circumstances, using laughter as a shield against the overwhelming despair that sometimes threatens to break through. They share songs, sing together, and remind each other that the human spirit is not easily crushed, even by the coldest of winters. These small moments, quiet laughter, a shared story, a warm meal in the midst of hardship, become the heart of their survival. In a world where every day is a struggle, it is these acts of human connection that remind you that survival is not just about enduring the cold. It's about maintaining your humanity in the face of it. And as long as you can hold on to that, as long as you can keep the warmth of those connections alive, you know you will continue to endure. Because in this frozen wilderness, survival is not just about strength or strategy, it's about the will to keep going together. In the harshness of this frozen world, the survivors have learned that the strength to endure doesn't always come from physical resilience or skill. It comes from a deep, unspoken bond between them. It's the knowledge that, no matter how difficult the road, they don't have to walk it alone. Even when the storms rage outside and the fire crackles low, the simple act of knowing there is someone by your side, someone who shares in the struggle, makes the weight of survival a little lighter. Each night, as the cold presses against the walls of your shelter, you gather together around the fire, in the warmth that the flames offer. You sit close, sharing what little food there is, passing around a hot drink, and basking in the rare luxury of shared warmth. These moments, though small and simple, carry more weight than any material possession. The warmth you share is not just physical, it is emotional, it is spiritual, it is the lifeblood of your survival. As the days pass, the simple rituals of life become more meaningful. Whether it's the ritual of brewing a pot of tea, the soft hum of a familiar song as someone works by the fire, or the act of repairing each other's clothes, these seemingly mundane tasks are the things that keep you tethered to life. The constant struggle for survival forces you to be resourceful, to make do with what you have. But it also teaches you to savor those moments of connection. In a world stripped of excess, these moments of human interaction become your greatest treasure. The survivors know that maintaining hope is just as important as keeping warm, just as vital as food or shelter. It is hope that propels you forward when the days stretch endlessly ahead, when the cold numbs your limbs and your stomach aches with hunger. It is hope that allows you to believe that tomorrow the sun will rise again, that the storm will pass, that the spring will come. It is the shared hope in each other's eyes, the quiet understanding that even when things seem impossible, you are not alone in this fight. Laughter, too, becomes an invaluable weapon. In the bleakest of moments, a burst of laughter can cut through the tension like sunlight breaking through the clouds. It's a reminder that, even in the darkest times, there is still room for joy, for lightness. The survivors have learned to laugh at the absurdity of their situation, at the way the wind howls outside, at the strange ways the animals behave, or even at their own misfortune. These moments of laughter, though fleeting, become shields against the overwhelming despair that could otherwise swallow them whole. As you sit by the fire, sharing stories and songs, you realize that survival is not just a battle against the elements, it's a battle to preserve your spirit, your sense of self, and the connections that make life worth living. It's the small acts of kindness, the shared moments of joy, the gentle touch of a hand offering warmth, that truly make the difference between surviving and truly living. And in the end, as long as the bonds between you remain strong, as long as you continue to share and support one another, the cold can never fully claim you. It will test you, it will push you to your limits, but the warmth of human connection, the warmth of shared hope and laughter, will always burn brighter than the fiercest storm. You are not just surviving. You are living together in the face of the harshest trials. And as long as you can hold on to that, as long as you keep those connections alive, you know that you will always find a way to endure. In this unforgiving world of the far north, you quickly realize that survival is not a solitary pursuit. You may have learned to endure the cold, but it is the animals that will help you truly survive. They are your partners in this frozen land, offering not just company, but vital assistance. Reindeer, polar bears, and sled dogs, these creatures are more than just wildlife. They are essential companions in this harsh environment. Sled dogs, in particular, become your closest allies. Strong, loyal, and tough, they are built for the cold, and their instincts are finely tuned to navigate the treacherous snow-covered terrain. You train them to haul supplies, to help with hunting, and to provide companionship during the long, lonely days. Their unwavering energy and stamina become invaluable, as they can carry heavy loads over distances that would be impossible for you to manage alone. They are more than just animals, they are essential to your survival. Even reindeer, which roam the land in scattered herds, play a significant role. Their thick, warm fur provides warmth, their meat provides nourishment, and their antlers can be crafted into tools. When the hunt is successful, the reindeer provides sustenance for days, and every part of the animal is used. The hides become clothing and shelter. The bones and antlers are fashioned into weapons and tools. You've learned that nothing goes to waste, and that in the wild, the animals are as much your partners as your tools. But perhaps the most striking partnership you form is with the sled dogs. They are not just beasts of burden, they are companions, sharing in the journey, the hardships, and the fleeting moments of joy. Their loyalty is unmatched, and in return, you offer them your care, your training, and your protection. Their instincts guide you, warning you of potential dangers and providing direction when the land around you feels disorienting and endless. They know the way even when you're unsure. Their noses twitching, their bodies alert, guiding you through the deep snowdrifts and across the frozen tundra. The bond between you and the sled dogs goes beyond simple utility. These creatures offer a form of companionship that can't be found anywhere else in this frozen wilderness. During the long, cold nights, when the wind howls and the fire crackles in the distance, their presence is a comfort. They curl up close, providing warmth as you rest. Their steady breathing a reminder that, despite everything, you are not truly alone. They are your family in this harsh environment, offering unconditional support when the loneliness threatens to swallow you whole. The reindeer, too, become part of your rhythm, as essential as the dogs. The hunt becomes not just a task, but a careful art. You know that each time you take down a reindeer, it's not just for food, it's a resource, a lifeline for your community. You preserve the meat, dry it, and store it for the long months ahead. The hides are carefully scraped and treated, sewn into coats and blankets that will protect you from the worst of the cold. The antlers, though tough and gnarly, are shaped into tools, knives, handles, even the frame of a sled. Every part of the animal is used, and in that, there is a deep, almost sacred appreciation for the life taken. Even the polar bear, the feared giant of the tundra, plays a role in this delicate balance. The first time you see one, its immense form looming in the distance, the chill it exudes feels almost tangible, as though the very air grows colder in its presence. Yet, despite the fear it evokes, you know that this creature too is part of the cycle, part of the struggle for survival. Should you cross paths with one, you respect it for what it is, a creature perfectly adapted to the same harsh environment. The bear may be a potential threat, but it is also a reminder that life here is fragile for everyone, human or animal alike. The polar bear offers another lesson: how closely tied all life is to the land. In this place, no one survives alone. Whether predator or prey, every creature has its role to play, and each one contributes to the delicate web of life in the far north. The survival of one depends on the survival of the others. Without the sled dogs to carry your burdens, the reindeer to feed and clothe you, and even the polar bear to remind you of the wild power around you, the balance would collapse. And so, you adapt. You live with the animals, respect their instincts, and learn from their ways. They are not just your partners, they are your teachers, your companions, and your salvation in a world that can be as merciless as it is beautiful. In the far north, survival is not just a fight against the cold and hunger, but a delicate dance with the land, its creatures, and the unspoken bond you share. Hunting in the far north is never easy. The cold stings your skin, the snow blinds your eyes, and the animals are elusive, well adapted to the harsh conditions. But with the help of the animals, survival becomes a little more manageable. Sled dogs track and chase down prey, guiding you to the hidden places where reindeer, seals, and other creatures hide. Their keen senses help you locate animals that would otherwise be invisible, and they are often the first to spot an approaching herd or track a vulnerable target. But the relationship with these animals is not just about using them for food or resources. They protect you, too. Sled dogs, ever watchful, sense danger long before you do. Their growls and barks are warning signals that something is amiss, that you should stay alert. Their instincts are a safeguard against the dangers of this wilderness, from predators to treacherous terrain. The dogs are not just tools, they are guardians, watching over you with the same unwavering dedication they give to their pack. Reindeer, too, offer protection in their own way. Their presence in the wild is an indicator of life where there are herds, there is a chance for food, and often safety. The animals help you locate resources, and through their actions, you learn the rhythms of the land. As you track the herds, you gain a deeper understanding of the terrain, of the land's patterns, and of how to navigate it. These animals are not just part of the environment, they are integral to your ability to adapt and thrive in it. As you follow the reindeer herds, you begin to read the land in ways that only the animals could teach you. Their movements are like a map, guiding you through the vast expanse of snow, revealing hidden paths and safe routes. The herds instinctively move toward places where the snow is less deep, where the winds have cleared the ground just enough to make their migration easier. They know the landscape better than you ever could, and you've learned to trust their lead. Each time you track them, you learn something new about the land's subtle rhythms, the way the snow shifts underfoot, the patterns of the wind, and the hidden valleys where life can still be found. The reindeer, in their quiet, graceful way, offer another lesson: patience. The hunt here is not about speed or strength. It's about waiting, watching, and moving with the land, not against it. When you track the herd, you don't rush. You move with the same deliberate pace as the reindeer, careful not to disturb the snow or make unnecessary noise. You learn to stop and listen, to observe the signs of the land, the broken branches of trees where the herd has passed, the telltale tracks in the snow, the subtle shift in the wind. Every sign is a piece of a puzzle, and with each new piece, you gain a deeper understanding of the landscape that surrounds you. The reindeer don't just offer food, they offer insight into how to live in harmony with this harsh world, how to be a part of the natural order instead of fighting against it. As the herd moves, so too do you, keeping a careful distance, never too close, never too far. You learn to move in rhythm with them, taking advantage of the terrain they know best. Sometimes it feels as though the land itself is guiding you, with the animals leading the way, teaching you how to survive, how to find sustenance, and how to remain undetected in the vast whiteness. The reindeer, though elusive, become more than just prey. They become your teachers, showing you how to navigate a world that, at first glance, seems completely inhospitable. Even in the midst of hunting, you can't help but admire the beauty of these creatures. Their thick fur, the graceful way they move across the snow, and the quiet determination with which they continue their journey through the frozen wilderness. It's a reminder that survival isn't just about enduring. It's about living with purpose. The reindeer don't seem to fear the harsh world around them. They simply exist within it, moving through it with an ease that, at times, makes you wonder if they have discovered the secret to thriving in the cold. Yet, the relationship with these animals isn't one-sided. You too provide for them, as the land provides for you. When you hunt, you honor the reindeer by using every part of them: the meat for food, the hide for warmth, the bones for tools. Nothing is wasted. You take only what is needed, leaving the rest as nature intended. This balance between taking and giving back is essential to your survival. You've learned that in this world, nothing survives in isolation. The animals, the land, and you are all part of the same cycle, each reliant on the other for survival. The reindeer may offer protection by showing you the way, but there are other dangers in this world, ones that move silently through the snow, unseen and often deadly. You've learned to be vigilant, to never underestimate the wilderness, because predators are always near. Bears, wolves, and even the treacherous terrain can pose a threat. But the sled dogs, too, become your protectors in these moments. Their keen senses allow them to sense danger long before you can. When they bark, when they growl low in their throats, you listen. Their warning calls are not just a means of alerting you to danger, they are a signal that you are not alone, that together you can face whatever threats the wild throws your way. The dogs know their role, and they fulfill it with unwavering dedication. They guard your camp while you sleep. They guide you through the snow when the trail is hard to find, and they help you chase down prey when the need arises. Their bond with you is one of trust and mutual reliance. They may not understand the concept of survival in the same way you do, but they understand that without each other, neither of you could make it through the bitter cold. Together, you face the unrelenting cold, the silent predators, and the dangers that lie in wait. With their help, you survive, and perhaps even thrive, in a world that has no mercy. In this frozen land, the relationship between you and the animals is not just one of utility, it is one of shared purpose, mutual respect, and a quiet, enduring bond. They teach you how to live, how to endure, and how to survive in a world that, in its harsh beauty, asks more of you than you ever thought you could give. On a dark night, when the wind howls outside and the cold seeps into your bones, you find yourself huddled by the fire, trying to stay warm. But then, in the eerie stillness of the night, you hear something, an unmistakable sound, a heavy footstep, the crunch of snow, deliberate and measured. Your heart skips a beat. There, in the distance, a massive polar bear looms near the edge of your shelter, its stark white form a ghostly silhouette in the fading light of the fire. The fear that grips you is immediate and all-encompassing. The cold is no longer just in the air, but in the very pit of your stomach. The bear is a force of nature, a reminder of how fragile your existence is in this wild land. You know that a polar bear is not to be underestimated. These creatures are not just animals. They are predators, capable of striking without warning. They have survived the harshest conditions, and they are perfectly equipped to hunt in the frozen wilderness. You hold your breath, every muscle tensed, watching the creature move closer. It is impossible to tell whether it has spotted you, whether it is merely passing by, or whether it sees you as prey. The danger is real, and your mind races. Should you stay inside and hope it moves along, or should you arm yourself and face it head on? In these moments, the cold becomes secondary. You feel your heart pounding in your chest, a stark reminder of your vulnerability. The polar bear stands at the edge of your world, just beyond the warmth of your fire. Its eyes gleam in the dark, calculating, assessing. You know it's not just the cold that threatens your survival, it's the creatures that have adapted even better than you to this land. You must think quickly, act decisively, and trust in the protection of your shelter and the animals around you. Your mind races, calculating your options. The polar bear is massive, its hulking form more powerful than anything you could hope to match. It moves with a quiet, deliberate grace, its eyes fixed on your shelter as though it senses your presence. Every inch of you screams to run, but the instinct to stay put is stronger. The fire offers warmth and safety, but the bear doesn't care about the light. It's not drawn to the warmth, it's drawn to the scent of potential prey, to the life that resides within your shelter. You hold your breath again, trying not to make a sound. Every crackle of the fire, every shifting movement in your shelter could alert it to your presence. The last thing you want is to provoke it. It's close now. So close you can feel the weight of its presence, its breath visible in the cold night air. The fear is palpable, yet there is also a strange clarity that comes with it. You are reminded of your place in this harsh world, a mere visitor, a fragile being in a land that was not made for humans. The creature is moving closer still, its enormous paws crunching through the snow with precision, each step an echo in the stillness. You know that your shelter, though sturdy, can only withstand so much. One swipe of its massive claws could tear through the walls like paper. The weight of its presence is overwhelming, and for a moment you wonder if this will be the end. Then something shifts. The bear pauses. Its head lifts slightly, sniffing the air, its black eyes narrowing as it catches the scent of something familiar. Your breath catches in your throat. Has it heard you, smelled you, or is it simply evaluating its next move? The seconds stretch into eternity, each one heavier than the last. You can't move. You can't make a sound. You can only watch as the bear stands at the edge of your world, its silhouette illuminated by the flickering firelight. Your heart beats in your chest like a drum, every beat ringing in your ears. The fear still grips you, but you focus. You remind yourself that survival is never about rushing into the unknown, but about taking measured, deliberate action. The bear, though an apex predator, is not infallible. It, too, is part of the landscape, a creature that must follow its instincts to survive, just as you do. You have lived in this world by learning from its rhythms, from the ways the land speaks to you. The fire crackles again, louder this time, and the bear shifts its gaze toward it. You use the moment of distraction to act, to make a choice. You know you can't stay hidden forever, but you also know you have a chance if you remain calm, stay focused, and use your surroundings. You reach quietly for the hunting spear you've kept by the fire. Your grip tightens around its cold handle, but you resist the urge to make any sudden movement. The weapon is not just for defense, it's a symbol of your resilience. You are prepared, but you are not rushing. The bear shifts again, turning slightly, as if considering its options. The moment feels like an eternity, but you remain still. Your thoughts clear, your body tense but controlled. Then, just as quickly as it appeared, the polar bear takes a few more steps away from your shelter, its massive form disappearing into the shadows of the night. It's not retreating, not yet. It is simply moving, evaluating the situation. Perhaps it senses that you are not easy prey, or perhaps it is just as uncertain as you are. With a final, quiet step, the bear fades into the distance, its hulking silhouette swallowed by the darkness of the frozen wilderness. The silence returns, broken only by the crackling of the fire. You remain perfectly still, still clutching the spear, still breathing heavily in the cold, your body wired with adrenaline. The danger has passed for now. The bear has not attacked, but it will not forget your presence. It knows where you are, and in this world, no creature forgets. You stand in the shadow of this brief encounter, the weight of the cold and the primal terror that gripped you lingering in your bones. But you know this: you have survived, not by force or by strength, but by understanding. You understood the bear's role in this world, and it, in turn, has respected yours for now. But you are reminded that survival is a constant. Every day, every night, is a new challenge. And though the bear is gone, the cold is still there. The wilderness still surrounds you. It is a reminder that life here is fragile, and that everything, every breath, every action matters. The cold will always be there, and the creatures that roam this frozen land will continue to test you. But tonight, you've learned that survival is not just about avoiding danger, it's about knowing how to live alongside it. Though fear surges within you, there is also a quiet respect for the creatures of this world. In the far north, you have learned to live with the animals, not just as companions, but as equal partners in the fight for survival. The polar bear, with its terrifying presence, is a reminder of the brutal reality of this land, but it is also a part of the balance. The ecosystem here is delicate, and every animal, predator or prey, plays a role in shaping the world around you. Even in moments of terror, you come to understand that without the animals, the reindeer, the sled dogs, the polar bears, you would not be able to survive. Your life in this frozen wilderness is entwined with theirs, and you have learned that survival is not just about what you take from the land, but also what you give back. Whether it's sharing a moment of warmth with the sled dogs or honoring the life of an animal you've hunted, you have come to see them not as mere resources, but as allies. You live in a world where everything is interconnected, where each creature, each animal has its place. And as long as you respect that bond, as long as you honor the animals that help you survive, you know that you are not alone in this fight against the cold. Together, you endure. In this frozen world, survival isn't just about enduring the harsh elements. It's about understanding the delicate balance that exists between you and the creatures that share this land. The reindeer, with their graceful movements and their life-giving meat, are not just prey, they are part of the rhythm of the land. The sled dogs, with their boundless energy and loyalty, are more than just tools. They are your companions, your protectors, and your friends. And the polar bears, though dangerous, are also a reminder of the wildness of the world you inhabit, a wildness that must be respected if you are to endure. Living with the animals is a lesson in humility. You have learned that each day in this world is a reminder that you are part of something bigger. You are a small thread in a vast, interconnected web of life that spans beyond your own existence. The land, the animals, and the people who have learned to survive here all are linked in ways that you may not always understand, but you come to accept as truth. You are not in control of everything, and in that knowledge there is freedom. You learn to respect the animals for what they are, not just for what they give you, but for what they represent in the balance of this world. The animals teach you the value of patience, the importance of knowing when to act and when to wait. The reindeer, always a reminder of the struggle for survival, show you the art of careful observation. You learn to track their movements, to read the land as they do, and to adapt your actions accordingly. The sled dogs, too, teach you the importance of teamwork, of understanding your role within a greater whole. They rely on you for food, shelter, and care, but in return, they help you survive in ways you cannot achieve alone. Their loyalty is their gift, and you honor that by reciprocating with kindness and respect. The polar bears, fierce and untamable, remind you of the power of nature, the raw strength that drives the world around you. They are not to be feared, but to be understood. And in understanding them, you gain a deeper respect for the land you share. When they appear, whether in the distance or at the edge of your shelter, you are reminded that survival here is a constant negotiation between life and death. The bear does not mean you harm, but it will take what it needs, just as you do. It is a stark reminder of the fragile line between predator and prey, a line that is drawn by the necessities of life itself. In these moments of terror and awe, you come to understand that the struggle for survival is not just physical, it is emotional, spiritual, and mental. It requires resilience, yes, but it also requires humility. The animals teach you this every day, in ways that cannot be put into words. By simply existing in this world with them, you are reminded that survival is not something to be taken for granted. It is earned, day by day, moment by moment. And so you continue, living in harmony with the land, respecting the animals that help you survive. You do not view them as mere tools or obstacles to overcome, but as equal participants in the delicate dance of survival. Each day you wake up to a world that demands your respect, and each day you rise to meet the challenge, knowing that you are never truly alone. The animals, with their instincts and their strength, walk beside you in this frozen land, and as long as you honor them, they will continue to help you survive. Together, you endure. Together, you live. After what feels like an eternity of darkness and bitter cold, there is finally a shift in the air. You've endured the harshest days of winter, the relentless storms, the freezing nights, and the weight of isolation that pressed down on your spirit as much as the cold pressed against your bone. But now, there is a subtle change, something you can feel deep within you. The first hint of spring, the days are growing longer, and the sky, though still heavy with snow, seems to hold a softness, a promise of light. It's a beacon of hope, but you know that before you can fully embrace it, you must endure the final stretch of winter's cruelest days. The cold doesn't give up easily. It clings to the land, making each day a test of your endurance. The snow still falls, the winds still howl, and the air bites as harshly as ever. But the difference now is that you can feel the warmth of the sun beginning to creep back into the world. It's not strong yet, but it's there, just barely. You wake to the promise of a new season each day, knowing that survival now depends on holding on just a little longer. The cold will not surrender easily, but you know the end is near. Every breath you take feels a little lighter, as if nature itself is preparing for the final shift. The days stretch on, and yet, with each passing moment, there is a subtle but undeniable change. The light that filters through the cracks in your shelter's walls seems a little brighter, a little warmer. You can feel it in your bones, that quiet promise, the hope that the darkest days are finally behind you. The wind still cuts through the snow, still howls against the walls of your shelter, but it doesn't feel as oppressive. There's a gentleness to it now, a softening, as if the world is slowly coming alive again. You know that the final stretch of winter is the hardest. It's the waiting, the knowing that you're so close to the end, but still trapped in the cold, still forced to battle the elements one last time. The cold has a way of seeping into every part of you, testing your will to endure. It makes every task feel like an effort, every movement a struggle. But now, You've learned to accept it. You don't fight against the cold anymore. You live with it. The struggle is no longer a battle, it's simply a part of the rhythm of life. You don't have to overcome it, just endure it. And in that endurance, you find strength. As the sun begins to creep higher in the sky, the snow starts to melt, slowly at first, as if reluctant to release its grip on the land. The ground beneath your feet, still frozen and hard, begins to soften, and the scent of damp earth begins to mix with the air. You smell it before you see it, the promise of life, the return of the season that will carry you through. The snowdrifts begin to recede, revealing patches of brown earth, the first signs of life returning to the land. With the melting snow comes a new sense of possibility. The landscape, once blanketed in white, begins to shift, slowly transforming into something new, something full of potential. The reindeer begin to emerge from their winter hiding places, cautiously at first, their movements slow but deliberate. They are the first sign that the harsh winter is finally retreating, making way for the new growth that will follow. You watch them from a distance, knowing that with their return comes the promise of food, of resources, of the sustenance you've been so desperately waiting for. The thaw brings a lightness to your heart, but it also brings new challenges. The rivers, once frozen solid, begin to flow again, and you know that you'll need to move quickly to prepare for the coming season. Hunting will become easier, but the land will also become more dangerous, with the thaw bringing instability to the ice and the snow. Yet, despite the challenges that lie ahead, there is a sense of relief, a quiet joy in knowing that the worst is over. The cold that has gripped you for so long is finally loosening its hold, and life, in its most primal form, is beginning again. As the days grow longer, you begin to reflect on what the winter has taught you. Survival wasn't just about getting through the cold, it was about learning to live with it, to adapt, to find meaning in the struggle. You've learned that strength isn't just about physical endurance. It's about mental resilience, about the ability to keep going even when the world seems determined to push you down. The winter has tested you, but it has also shaped you. In the stillness of the cold, you've found your own stillness, your own strength, and you've learned that even in the most challenging of circumstances, survival is possible. The arrival of spring isn't just the arrival of warmth, it is the arrival of renewal. It is a reminder that no matter how long the winter, the seasons will turn, the ice will melt, and life will return. It is a sign that even in the darkest, coldest times, there is always the promise of something better, something new on the horizon. And as you look out over the thawing landscape, you know that you are ready to meet the challenges of the new season, stronger, wiser, and more attuned to the rhythm of the land than ever before. You have endured, you have survived, and now you will thrive. And then, one day, the snow begins to melt. It's a gradual process, a slow thawing, but it feels like a miracle. The land, once covered in a thick blanket of snow, begins to shift, revealing patches of brown earth, the first signs of life returning to the land. The frozen rivers start to trickle again, the ice breaking up and flowing away like a river reclaiming its path. The cold, while still present, is no longer the absolute force it once was. The landscape begins to transform. Where there was white, there are now hints of green, the first brave shoots of grass pushing through the earth, the barest beginnings of buds on trees. The animals, too, begin to stir. You see the first signs of reindeer venturing out, their movements less cautious than before, as the thaw opens up new spaces for them to roam. The sled dogs, always alert, can sense the change as well. Their energy picks up, and the long, dark nights seem a little less intimidating now that the days are growing longer. Spring, though slow to arrive, is a promise of renewal, a chance to move forward, to rebuild, to heal. The frozen land is awakening, and with it, so are you. Your body, worn by the long months of winter, begins to feel lighter. The sun's warmth, though still shy, seeps into your bones, reminding you that survival is not just about enduring the cold, it's about embracing the change that comes with each new season. As the days grow longer, the air becomes less biting, and the once harsh winds begin to lose their cutting edge. There's a subtle shift in the atmosphere, a softening that you can feel deep within your chest. The thawing earth releases its frozen grip on everything, allowing life to push upward and outward. You step outside to breathe the air, and it feels fresher, as if it carries with it a promise of new beginnings. The weight that had pressed on you for so long starts to lift, and for the first time in months, you feel the full range of your senses waking up, like a part of you that had been dormant is now coming to life again. The snow, once thick and oppressive, is now retreating, revealing patches of bare earth, once hidden beneath the heavy white blanket. The first signs of life reappear: small sprouts of grass, tiny wildflowers pushing through the softened ground. The land, so stark and unyielding during the winter, now seems full of possibilities, full of hope. The landscape is slowly transforming, and you know that with this transformation comes a renewal of resources, food, shelter, opportunities. The earth, having rested for so long, is now waking up, ready to provide again. The thaw also brings with it a change in the rhythm of the land. The rivers, which had been still and frozen, now begin to move again, the ice breaking apart with the force of spring's return. The sound of flowing water is almost like music, a soft, soothing reminder that life is resuming its normal course. You hear it before you see it, the slow, steady trickle of water cutting through the ice, claiming its space, flowing freely once more. The thaw doesn't just melt the snow. It renews the very pulse of the land, and with it, your own pulse begins to quicken. The animals respond to the change just as you do. The reindeer, who had been huddled in the deeper, more sheltered parts of the land, begin to venture out, their movements less hesitant, more confident. They are searching for the fresh growth, the new life that is springing up with each passing day. You watch them from a distance, knowing that they are a vital part of this ecosystem. Their return, a sign that the land is beginning to provide again. Their presence brings with it a sense of reassurance, a sign that life is returning to its natural cycle. The sled dogs, ever vigilant, seem to sense the change as well. Their energy is renewed, and the long, dark nights of winter no longer feel as oppressive. As the days grow longer, their spirits rise. They bark with excitement, their movements quicker and more eager, as if they too can feel the promise of spring in the air. You can see it in their eyes, in the way they tug at their harnesses, ready to be active again. They are not just animals in your service, they are part of your community, your partners in this harsh environment. And seeing their renewed energy fills you with a sense of shared purpose. You, too, begin to feel the change. The weariness that had clung to your bones throughout the winter months slowly starts to lift. Your body, once stiff from the cold and the constant struggle to stay warm, begins to feel lighter. The warmth of the sun, though still shy and inconsistent, seeps into your skin, soothing the aches and pains that have become so familiar. Your mind, too, begins to clear. The oppressive darkness of the long winter is starting to give way to the light, and with it comes a sense of renewal. Spring is more than just the melting snow, it is a promise of what's to come. It's a chance to rebuild what was lost during the cold months. It's the opportunity to gather new resources, to repair shelters, and to reconnect with the land that had seemed so inhospitable just months before. But spring is also a reminder of resilience, of the strength it took to endure the cold, the hunger, and the isolation. You have made it through, and now you can embrace the change, the new season, and the new life that comes with it. In this thaw, you are reminded that survival is not just about getting through the hardships. It's about the ability to adapt, to grow, and to change with the seasons. The cold has tested you, but the warmth of the sun, the return of life, is a reward for your endurance. The cycle of the seasons is a reminder that nothing is permanent. Not the cold, not the hunger, not the isolation. Spring comes, and with it, a chance to start again. As the landscape shifts from the harsh, unyielding white to the soft, promising green, you stand at the threshold of something new. The first light of spring seems to wash over everything, illuminating the earth with a warmth that you've longed for, yet never truly appreciated until now. The thaw is more than just a physical change, it's a symbolic one. The cold that has held you captive for so long is receding, and with it, you find a new sense of freedom. But freedom isn't just the absence of cold or the return of warmth. It's the knowledge that you have made it through, that you faced the worst, and yet you're still here. The winter taught you more than just survival. It taught you to endure with grace, to find purpose even in the most grueling conditions. It taught you the value of patience, not just with the world around you, but with yourself. There were moments when you wanted to give in, when the cold felt unbearable and the hunger seemed impossible to ignore. But you didn't. You kept going. Even when every fiber of your being screamed for rest, you pushed forward. And now, as the first hints of spring light the world around you, you realize that it was never just about surviving the winter, it was about learning to thrive within it. You have changed. The person who entered the winter, uncertain and hesitant, is no longer the person who stands on the edge of spring. You've been shaped by the land, by the cold, by the very elements that sought to break you. They didn't, though. Instead, they forged something stronger, more resilient in you. Every hardship you faced, every challenge that seemed insurmountable, has become a part of you, woven into your being like the fibers of your clothing. And as you breathe in the fresh spring air, you know that you are no longer the same person you were at the start of the winter. You are someone who has withstood the storm, who has found peace in the struggle, and who is now ready to embrace whatever comes next. The thaw is not just a physical change in the world around you, it's a transformation within you. You now understand that survival is not about brute force, but about your ability to adapt, to find strength in the struggle, and to learn from it. You've learned to coexist with the elements, to live alongside nature, not as an adversary, but as a partner. The reindeer, the sled dogs, the land itself, they have become your allies, your teachers. You've learned to take only what you need, to honor the rhythm of the world around you, and in doing so, you've gained a deeper respect for the land you inhabit. Now, with the arrival of spring, you understand that life is cyclical. The winter may come again, but you know that you will meet it with more than just the will to survive. You will meet it with the wisdom that comes from having endured it once before. The storm may return, but so will the thaw. The cold will return, but so will the warmth. And you, with everything you've learned, will be ready. Because survival isn't just about the seasons. It's about the resilience you build in the face of them. It's about the strength to stand tall, even when the world feels like it's pushing you down, and to rise again when the storm passes. As the first light of spring shines on the land, you know that survival has never been just about getting through. It's about learning, growing, and finding a way to live alongside nature's wildness, adapting to its rhythms, and emerging stronger with every cycle. The thaw is just the beginning of a new season, a new chapter in the story of survival, and you're ready to embrace it fully. The first light of spring is more than just the return of warmth. It is a symbol of everything you've endured. The cold, the hunger, the long, dark nights, they are all behind you now. But the lessons they've taught you will stay with you forever. The struggles of the winter have made you stronger, more aware of your place in this world, and more grateful for the small moments of warmth, of connection, and of hope that carry you through. In the end, survival is not just about fighting the cold. It's about learning to live with it, to adapt, and to grow. The land, the animals, and the changing seasons have shown you that life is a constant cycle of challenges and renewal. And as the snow melts away, revealing the green shoots of spring, you realize that you, too, have survived, and that you will continue to survive as long as you have the strength to endure. The cold will always return, but so will the warmth. And as long as you hold on to that truth, you will always find a way to persevere. The first warmth of spring touches your skin like a soft promise. The land beneath your feet no longer frozen and unforgiving, but softening, becoming fertile once more. With each passing day, the world around you awakens, and you too begin to feel a renewed sense of possibility. The thaw has brought new life, not just to the earth, but to your spirit. As the snow retreats and the green shoots of grass push through, you're reminded that survival is not just about enduring, it's about what you do with that endurance, how you adapt and use it to build a future. The land, once harsh and unyielding, is now opening up to you again. You see the first signs of wildlife returning, the birds singing their songs of rebirth, the streams flowing freely. The cold may have tested you, but now it is the warmth, the growth, and the promise of new beginnings that fill your days. The land, which seemed so barren during the long winter, is now teeming with life. Each new bloom, each sprout, a symbol of resilience, of nature's ability to heal and renew. And so, as the days lengthen and the world shifts from white to green, you reflect on how far you've come. The winter, with all its challenges, now feels like a distant memory, but the lessons it taught you remain, etched deeply within you. You've learned not just to survive the cold, but to find meaning in it, to understand that hardship, while painful, can lead to growth, that the struggle to endure is as much about internal transformation as it is about external survival. The quiet patience, the resilience in the face of adversity, the understanding that nothing lasts forever, not the cold, not the hunger, not even the isolation. The warmth that now touches your skin is more than just the return of the Sunday. It is the warmth of knowing that you have emerged from the storm, that you have learned the language of the land, the rhythm of the seasons, and the lessons of the animals who share this world with you. They too endure, they too survive, and in their resilience, you find your own strength. Together, you've all weathered the harshest of winters, and now you are ready to embrace the spring. The challenges of the cold may return, but you will face them differently now. You are no longer just a survivor. You are someone who has learned to live alongside the land, to respect its cycles, and to find beauty in the struggle. The land has shaped you, and you, in turn, have learned to shape your life in accordance with it. You know that survival is not just about getting through, but about learning, growing, and evolving with each new season. As you stand in the soft light of spring, you know that you are part of a larger cycle, a larger story of life that is always renewing itself. You may not know what the future holds, but you know that as long as you have the strength to endure, you will continue to survive and thrive, because you've learned that every season, no matter how harsh, eventually gives way to something new, something better. And with that knowledge, you face the future with a quiet, unshakable hope. As the first light of spring touches the land and the cold recedes into memory, you find yourself standing at the edge of something profound. A world once dominated by the relentless bite of winter, now softened by the gentle warmth of the returning Sunday. It is a reminder that survival, in its most essential form, is not just about brute force or raw determination. It is about the quiet, steady resilience that allows you to endure the worst and emerge stronger. Every season, every hardship, and every step you take leaves a mark, not just on the land, but on you, shaping who you are and what you have become. This lesson of endurance, of resilience, is not unique to you. It echoes across the lands, from the far northern islands to the frozen expanse of the Arctic. People who have lived in these places, who have survived against nature's most unforgiving forces, carry with them stories that speak of more than just surviving the cold. They speak of surviving life itself, whether they are the inhabitants of remote villages or the brave explorers who venture into the heart of the ice-covered wilderness. They all share the same bond, the will to survive. Every person who has ever faced the brutal forces of nature in these harsh lands carries with them the story of perseverance. They, too, have endured the isolation, the hunger, and the bitter cold, learning to adapt and find strength in the midst of what seems impossible. Their stories are not just about the battles they fought with the land, but the battles they fought within themselves, the fear, the doubt, and the will to keep moving forward when everything inside them screamed to stop. They know, as you have come to know, that survival is not simply a matter of physical endurance. It is about trusting life, trusting yourself, and finding the resilience to keep going, even when the path ahead is uncertain. As you stand here, reflecting on your journey, you begin to understand the true essence of survival. It is not just about the hardships you endure, but the way they shape you. The land, the animals, and the seasons, they all leave their mark on you. Every hardship, every struggle, adds another layer to your understanding of life. And as you continue to endure, you learn that the challenges you face, though harsh, are not to be feared. They are the very things that shape you, that make you stronger, more resilient, and more attuned to the world around you. Life, after all, is not about avoiding the trials. It is about trusting that even in the hardest of moments, there is something to learn, something to grow from. The question now is not whether you will survive, but what kind of person you will become through that survival. In the face of adversity, you have learned the value of patience, of resilience, and of living in harmony with the land. The trials you faced have not broken you. They have taught you to adapt, to respect the world around you, and to trust that, no matter how harsh the conditions, there is always a way forward. The question lingers in the quiet of the morning air. Would you, if faced with the same struggles, have the strength to endure? Would you trust life, even when it seems so vast, so indifferent, and so unforgiving? In a world where the landscape shifts from endless snow to fresh green shoots, where each season brings new challenges and new opportunities, resilience is the key to overcoming life's most difficult moments. In the far north, survival is more than just staying alive. It is a testament to the human spirit's ability to adapt, to endure, and to find hope in the face of hardship. The land teaches you that nothing is permanent, not the cold, not the hunger, not even the darkness. Every trial you face is a reminder that you are capable of more than you know. And it's in the moments when everything feels impossible that you discover what you're truly made of. As you lie down tonight, your body exhausted from the long months of winter and your heart lightened by the return of spring, think about what you've learned. Think about how far you've come, how much you've endured, and how much you've grown. You are not the same person who first faced the cold. You are someone who has learned to survive, to live, and to thrive in a world that demands everything from you. And as the warmth of the fire flickers beside you, and the wind carries the first sounds of spring, you know that the journey is far from over. The world is vast, and the challenges are many, but with each season, with each trial, you will continue to adapt, to learn, and to survive. Good night. May the warmth of the coming spring bring you peace and rest, and may you wake with the strength to face another day, knowing that whatever challenges lie ahead, you are ready. Because in the end, it's not about the cold you survive, it's about the warmth you carry within.